Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Brittany. So, Brittany, welcome.
Hi.
So, Brittany, what is your full type? Can you please tell us?
Yeah. So I'm ESFP, but I'm a jumper type. So I'm FM, SETE, play, consume, sleep, blast, and I'm a number one.
Okay, sweet. And what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
Well, I was anxiously awaiting, so I was like biting my fingernails the whole time, just waiting to get it back. I was so excited. But honestly, when I got my results, I wasn't too surprised because throughout learning everything about OPS in the 3 months that I was studying everything, I thought that I was an OE, like a lead OE. So I wasn't too surprised. But I will say that when I first started studying ops, I was typing myself as an INFP, like with the standard Myers Briggs. So then I started studying ops and I was like, okay, I see, like there's quite a bit of variation here with all the different types. And so I started to realize pretty quickly, like I'm not an INFP. So getting my type back was not like as shocking as maybe it is for some people because I don't feel like I had myself typed upside down. Um, but the most shocking part I think was like number one because I thought I was a number four because I'm like pretty chatty and social and I like talk to people and um, I would rather be playing and doing fun stuff than being serious and like doing work and so I thought, oh, I must be number four. So I was pretty surprised by number one.
All right, and we'll definitely cover that later on and see. So, for this interview, we're going to go pretty quickly for your savior animals, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
do a deeper dive on your demons because I think they're more like more in depth to talk about like the demons. No one cares about the saviors. So, um and then we'll talk about the social one as well. So let's start with the first animal, which is ST play. This is your first animal. This makes you a tribe above self, ESFP, which is contradictory to your type one, which we'll talk about later. Because that's kind of weird. Tribe above self, but you're
Yeah.
number one, right?
Yeah.
So how do you personally experience that ST play of yours?
So this took me a little while to see. I was real surprised actually by play because I thought I was consume first, so like OEDI, but so I was surprised that I wasn't SEFI. I'm surprised that wasn't my type. So it took a minute for me to see. But looking at it more, I think that I could see the play just in the terms of me like posting so much in groups and like pinging things off of people. Like I'll have a thought or an idea, something will pop in my head, and it's like, oh, I got to go post about it and talk to some people, and I got to get some feedback, and I got to see what everybody else thinks. And kind of just play back and forth with the tribe in terms of things making sense to me. It's like I have a need to like talk it out before I can like narrow down enough to like go down a consume path and like find a direction to go. So it's kind of like I feel like the play just kind of like gathers a whole bunch from everything around me and it like consolidates it and narrows it down to where I can take it down a more narrow path after that.
Gotcha. Your next animal is SF consume. It's double feminine and double activated. So what's going on there for you for that specific animal?
Well, so the middle two animals I've had a little bit more trouble seeing, and since my typing is still pretty new, I'm still like identifying all these things in myself and kind of catching things. But I think that what I see with SF consume is like because my F is FI, it's a lot about what I value and what I find interesting. So a lot of the times my consume goes towards weird little quirky things that I find interesting, and then I'll just like dive down this rabbit hole of just consuming tons of information about something completely pointless and worthless. It just tickles my fancy, something fun and interesting that um, it's just it's just more about fun, I guess, for me, like consuming a lot of things that pique my interest, and I guess that's where the FI part comes in for me. Um, but I'm not really. I know everybody talks about consume, like SF consume being like real into like pop culture and stuff, and I don't necessarily relate to that part of SF consume. It's more weird stuff that I like will go down a rabbit hole, like studying aliens because I think they're fascinating. So like I'll just dive down this rabbit hole of like consuming everything I can about like aliens, and so yeah, just weird little things.
Um, let's talk about your next animal then. Let's jump into your NF now. This is the big one.
Yeah.
So this is the one that you said that you saw very clearly in you, and probably why you type yourself as an INFP because you are NF inside. So I
Mhm.
think a lot of people that mistype themselves is because they are like saying, oh, I feel like this, which is true. That is how you are inside, you are NF. So um how do you personally experience that, demon NF sleep of yours? What's going on there? And we can cover the different dimensions of it too afterwards, but I want to hear your perspective first.
Yeah, yeah. So you definitely think this is why I typed myself as an INFP at first, because the NF sleep seems to be like what I always call my inner world. Like I've always described myself as somebody who has like two versions. There's two versions of me. There's the outer version, which is like my mask that's presented to the world, and that's what everybody sees. And it's very opposite of my internal world and what I consider, the real me. So this is all like before ops that I would always describe myself this way. So I saw myself as that, sleepy NF, that inner world. Everything was just like very obvious and very in my face. It was like the part of me I saw the most clearly. And I think that is why I typed that way. So what I've come as I've been like, I guess sleep processing all of this since I got typed, something I've kind of figured out is that like the the ST is like the mask, and the NF is like the vulnerable part of me that I keep inside that I don't really let out that much. Um, so something else that's interesting too is like I've noticed in like the order in which my animals go, it's like I go to the tribe and I ping back and forth and I gather everybody's thoughts and opinions and information, and it's like I'm scooping all of this in, and then I find something that I like that's interesting, and I'll take that and I'll consume it and I'll go down this rabbit hole with it. And then it gets to my sleep, and that's where I really like do some personal inner work with whatever I've gathered from the outside. And I guess that's just where, I don't know, I always just describe it as like a place that's inside of me that's very vulnerable and very real that nobody else really sees. Um, so yeah, I'm still like processing that part of me and how that's, like a demon function and not a savior function, because it feels like a savior function. It feels like something so real and like the main part of who I am. So still working on figuring all that out.
Yeah, no, it makes sense too as a social one because one is correlated with sleep. So you definitely
Mhm.
have that going. Um, I've interviewed one of your type twins in the past. Her name's Abby, and she said something that I thought was kind of interesting. Having double masculine NT blast at the very bottom, and also having feminine FI, and also sleep demon. Um, she said one of the things that happens to her when she gets into a conflict with someone is she'll be crying while screaming horrible things at the other person. It's the double masculine blast, so it's like a swing, right? Has that ever happened to you where you're both like tearing up but also being like really like aggressive at the same time?
Like angry, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I, oh yeah, this is like, yeah, not. It's embarrassing to think of the times when I have like lost my shit over something and then been like so angry and so upset about it that I was like angry crying and yelling, and the other person's like, wow, like why are you yelling and crying right now? And it was just, yeah, it is like a monster that comes out sometimes. I completely relate to that.
Right. Yeah, that I thought that was super interesting. I was like, oh wow, so that's what happens when you have those two as the demon, in the back end.
Yeah, and it's a complete swing from like the normal. Like the normal is like chill, easy going,
Yeah.
things don't get under my skin. But then like that demon comes out and it's just like, "Rah!"
Yeah.
bravely.
Yeah, and it's directly to the tribe too, which is funny because it's double masculine, right? Like the blast at the bottom. Anyhow, let's go back to the NF sleep again. So let's cover the dimensions of it and see how you feel about it. The first one that a lot of people with NF sleep have in common is having like a code that you kind of adhere to, like a mantra or some sort, like a saying, usually comes in the form of quote. Might be harder for you because you have feminine SE, but
Mm.
so I can give you some examples if you want, but David Goggins, for example, a fellow number one ESFP jumper. His is having a callous mind, like toughening yourself up with so much pain that your mind
Yeah.
is callous. So that's his example. Jocko Willing, discipline equals freedom. And obviously other people in other quadra has their own version of that. Do you have your own version of you know, for this code that's personal to you?
Yeah, yeah, I do have a similar kind of saying as like what David Goggins said. It's even since I was a young kid, like a little girl, I've always had this saying when I would get upset and I would get really emotional about something, I would kind of like mentally like smack myself upside the head and be like put on your big girl panties and deal with it. Like just put on your big girl panties and deal with it. Like there's no one else here to help you. Like deal with your shit on your own. Like grow up. Like put it aside and like just keep going. Like don't let this feeling like overtake you and like drown you. So like it's kind of a similar thing of like I don't want to let those, I guess that like the NF wave of emotion or whatever like take me under. So there's like that resistance to it to like, just like tough it out, pull myself up by my bootstraps, keep going.
Can you have the best of both worlds? Like you can cry, and then after you cry, you go, get the job done afterwards. Then that's like
Yes,
full sense.
yes. And no one will really ever see me cry. Like I go hide in the closet and I'll go cry and like have my little tantrum and be like, get yourself together. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. And then I'm going to go out and then I'm going to like, all right, I got this. I'm doing this, Nobody ever sees the emotional breakdown.
Right. Okay. Would you say that's kind of correlated with being a one as well? Because ones tend to have a facade. So the way they presented themselves to the outside world has to be a certain way. And only like a very few people, if ever, get to see the real person inside. And it's both from like also a defensive standpoint also because you are
Yeah.
being afraid of getting hurt, but also at the same time
Mm-hmm.
you wanting the tribe to see you at a higher status. So, you don't want to show weakness, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So,
100%.
yeah. So, how do you personally experience that?
Um, I I do this stupid thing where when I get really emotional about something and I'm hiding in the closet and I don't want anybody to see because of course, yeah, I don't want people to think I'm weak. I don't want people to think I don't have it together. That's like one of my big fears, and I guess that maybe comes from the social type is is people thinking I don't have it together. Like, oh, she does not have her shit together. Like, no, like I have to have my shit together all the time. That's what people have to think, right? So I'm gonna go cry in the closet, but I'm gonna feel like a complete idiot for doing it. And I do this stupid thing where I'll take a picture of myself while I'm ugly crying so that I can look back at it later and be like, do you see how stupid you look? You can't do that. You can't do that anymore. You can't cry and look stupid like that anymore. And it's just like a way of just like mentally beating myself up to not like stoop down to that level.
Would you say that by doing that, you have rejected a part of you, and then as a
Yeah,
result,
for sure.
you lose that like connection with yourself as a result of that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's something that the last couple of years I've been working on is being okay to be more vulnerable and share more of who I really am. And I guess that's that NF part of me that I keep hidden, and it's like it's behind the mask. I've been working really hard at letting that wall down, so to speak, so that I can be more vulnerable, not only with others, but with myself, even, like allowing myself to be able to feel the things that I feel and not hate myself for it, feeling like a loser because I'm having this emotion that I don't think I should be having. Giving myself grace to feel that way and process things so that I just stay more connected with myself, because one thing I noticed was that it was really hard for me to connect in an empathetic way with people around me when I'm beating myself up for my own emotions. I can't connect with anybody else because I
Right.
can't truly be connected with myself. So that's definitely something I've been trying to. It's so hard that this. I feel like it's going to be like a lifelong battle that I'm never going to completely overcome, but something I'm always going to be working on.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely a tough struggle, especially as a number one, being seen in a more vulnerable light. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously empathy would be uh damaged as a result because you are not giving yourself cutting yourself some slack. Therefore, you won't cut other people some slack as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
people just think you're like a some kind of monster when in fact it's
Yeah, or like a robot. I get called a robot a lot.
right.
Even
Uh
my kids are like, "Oh, mom, you're like a robot. You never cry. Like you never show emotion." And so then I expect them, to not show emotion. And I've been really working on allowing myself to show emotion and let them show their emotions, instead of being like, "Stop crying." It's hard.
Part of your NF sleep is um the NIFI part. So a lot of the lead sleeps with NF as their first animal. What they do is they future project something that's going to happen in the future, and then they pre-process that emotion ahead of time, which in my opinion is kind of ridiculous because my girlfriend, for example, she pre-processed not getting into this university that she applied for, and she did get rejected, but like not for what she pre-processed for. So
Yeah.
she's freaking out anyway. So she just wasted her time pre-processing because she didn't have the SE correct because she has feminine SE at the bottom. She's an INTJ. So the SE still got her the end. So
Yeah.
funny. She got into school now, her second try, which is awesome. But so so I feel like it's kind of dangerous to pre-process ahead of time because what if like that event happens but like for something completely different, then
Yeah.
and you would still freak out, then you just wasted your time
Mhm.
pre-processing.
Yeah.
So but then
I agree.
there's also things that are okay to pre-process, like some things that are like definitely gonna happen, like I know Dave and Chan always talk about pre-processing the death of family members, uh
Mm.
which is gonna happen. I mean, the context might be different, but it's gonna happen to everyone. So that might be okay. I mean, I think that's still kind of weird because then you get to the funeral and then you're not crying because you already pre-processed it. And you're like, then you look like a sociopath. So like, so I don't know
Yeah.
really if that's the right way to do it, but definitely for sure, it's good for before you jump into doing something, you can pre-process how you're gonna feel and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't jump into this because otherwise this is how I'm gonna feel. So what's your take on this? Like, do you personally pre-process ahead of time, even though it's a demon? It's still third, so you have access to it. And how often do you do it? And what's your opinion on the wrong and right and wrong way to do it for yourself?
So that's a tricky one because, and maybe this is because my NI is masculine. It it's a little stronger, even though it's a demon. Kind of shows up a little bit more. So even though I'm like live in the moment and I don't like think or plan ahead often at all because I'm OE, like I still have these like moments where I'm like, whoa, slow down, like let's think a few steps ahead, and if we do X, Y, and Z, then this might happen. And so like let's course correct. And so I do that sometimes. Um, but it's definitely not like a natural first response. It's something that I've had to maybe learn the hard way on something, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, so like last time okay, here's like a stupid little example. Like I have a bunch of kids, so a lot of times I forget to take the baby's diaper bag when we leave the house, and the unfortunate circumstances, oh no, she pooped and then I don't have a diaper to change her. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I forgot the diaper bag. Like that's just typical OE stuff, right? Like you just don't think steps ahead and then you get yourself in a situation where you're like, oh, now this is a major inconvenience. So after doing that a time or two, like now my NI is like, oh yeah, like there's a pattern there. You learned, like, don't leave the diaper bag at home because you're gonna need it. And so that's just like, it takes a few experiences for me to learn, but I feel like I catch on pretty quick, maybe because that NI like kicks in a bit. quicker, even though it's a demon. I don't know. That's just kind of my theory, but um, there are definitely a lot of times when I've not at all used my NI, and it's just like I'm going down with the ship, and it's like I didn't even see that like we were about to catch on fire. Like, how is the ship on fire and we're sinking? Like, I had no idea this was even coming, you know. And people are like, duh, like you didn't see that coming, and I'm like, no, I did not see that coming. So that does happen to me a lot too. So it's really like hit or miss in terms of it. Sometimes I catch these patterns, and other times like I just don't even see the pattern, and it's like I get whacked upside the head with something.
I think, in my opinion, masculine NI is the craziest function in the whole function. Because like you guys with masculine NI are so convinced something's gonna happen in the future, even if you have it fought as a demon. Like you're just so convinced with so much confidence because it's masculine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever seen it become right, to be honest. Like it's always like because it doesn't have the flexibility, right? Because the future can always change depending on what's happening in a moment, right? Uh,
Yeah.
besides death, obviously. But so I always thought it was kind of crazy. Like one of the things my girlfriend does with that masculine NI of hers is like she'll always say things like, um, this always happens, or you always do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I don't. Here's my facts. I'm info dominant. I can show it to you. She's like, what? Like, because like one time she was like accusing me when we were traveling that it's like we don't stay at places long enough to absorb it because we keep bouncing around to different locations when we travel, like different countries and stuff. I'm like, actually, we only do that 5% of the time. Here's the data, and I show you the data, right? He's like, what? And then I was like, but it's because it's connected to the FI, so you feel like it's always happening. But
Yeah.
it's not necessarily true. So it's kind of dangerous when that NI is connected to the FI, because like the emotion is also stuck there.
Yes. Yes.
Yours is a little bit better than my girlfriend's because hers is masculine FI. So her feelings feel so sure that what happened in the future
Mm-hmm.
is also so sure. However, for you, the future is so sure, but the feelings is kind of like, did I really feel that? I'm not sure. So it's
Yeah.
like it's a little bit safer. So
Yeah.
what's
I,
your take on
I
that?
I definitely say that. Like when I was younger, I there was this guy when I was in high school, and I was young, like maybe freshman, sophomore, and he was a neighbor. He was a friend. Like we went to church youth group together, that sort of thing. And I wasn't like I didn't have a crush on him or anything like that. He was just a friend. But I just had this like overwhelming feeling that I was going to marry him someday. Like I knew it. I just knew it. I was going to marry him. Like you could not convince me otherwise. Like I just felt it and I knew it and that was it. It was gonna happen. I even told him, I was like, I know I'm gonna marry you someday. And he was like, you're weird. And I was like, just watch, it's gonna happen. Nope, didn't happen. We like nothing even remotely close even happened. And I was like, wow, I was really wrong about that.
Yeah, that's so
Like
weird.
it's so weird. Like I have these weird things like something will happen like that where I'll just get this thought and I'm like, yes, this is what it is. And like you can't convince me that it's something different. And sometimes it's usually stupid little things like that, but sometimes it's bigger things. Like I could see this happening a lot more when I was younger. Maybe just a little more immature. And I was in my first marriage. Like I would always think that my ex-husband was cheating on me with somebody else. Like if he was gone, he was late coming home, and he was out like working. I was like, oh, working, okay, yeah, working. Like he's probably not working. Like he's probably cheating on me. And I had these like paranoias about things that I just was sure that were happening. That you know, I don't think they were happening. I have no proof that they were happening. So um, I it took me a lot of years to like notice like okay, I'm doing this thing and I have to like separate my emotions from like these these predictions because the emotion was fueling those like um I guess predictions, and so it took me some time to step back and like detach myself from that and be able to look at the facts before looking at my feelings creating these predictions. So again, that's another reason why I felt so strongly that I was an NF savior because I could just like it could just run away. I could just run away with that NF and go completely down a rabbit hole. So, but I'm seeing now that it's just I think it's just like a strong demon state.
I think the dangerous thing about that masculine NI is self-fulfilling prophecy, because like, for example, like let's say like you're dating someone and then you think they're cheating on you. They're not, but you think they are. So you start acting in like accusatory behavior, which will push them away, obviously, because then you know, why would they want to hang out with you when you're being so you know, difficult and challenging and
Yeah, for
unpleasant, right?
sure.
So they're gonna start thinking about it. You know, it's like maybe I should find someone else. So what you thought actually happened, but you caused it. So you know,
Yeah,
as a result of that
yeah.
behavior. So I think that's how it's like dangerous, because um I interviewed another ESFP jumper before. She is play blast, so a little bit different from you. She's double feminine, so also masculine NI and masculine FI.
Mhm.
And she also accused her for she also thought her boyfriend was cheating on her all the time, and she kept accusing him and because she had blast savior, she started micromanaging him too. You know, you don't have the blast savior, so you don't do
No,
that.
I don't like manage.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, but because she had blast savior, she was controlling the boyfriend. Imagine an ESFP controlling other people. It's kind of funny. So she's controlling the boyfriend, and eventually he just left her because like he's being so, you know, crazy with this
Yeah.
controlling.
Hmm.
Like, show me your phone. It's
Yeah.
like what the hell is that? Like that's like, you know, like relationship is built on trust, and if you're already like mistrustful of the person, that you really like messed up the relationship, right? So you know, she's married now to like an ENFP, but like she had to learn also the hard way, kind of like you did,
Yeah.
to put that like masculine NI in check, you know. So my question then is like, how do you put that in check when it feels so real? Like how do you keep that in check so it doesn't like mess things up, like, you know, for you?
It might help that my FI is feminine and the NI is masculine because I feel like I can like it took practice, but like I could reel back how I felt enough to see like did the facts and reality line up with the NI prediction and patterns that I thought I was seeing that I wasn't really seeing. So um, I think being able to kind of like separate my emotions, separate the FI from the NI, like helped me a little bit to be able to really like get into the ST, like, okay, what are the actual facts here? You know, the last 5 times I've thought him staying out late meant he was cheating. It wasn't that. There's no proof. So then I can start building new patterns that are accurate because I'm able to separate my emotion enough to be able to really like get into the ST and see what is reality, and that keeps me more grounded. But I mean, it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of intentionality, and it took a lot of um, sleep processing, I guess, to like really like go inside and really like figure all this stuff out. And before I just jump to my conclusions or whatever. Um, but I will say that like once I started doing that, it got way easier. And I wonder if that's because it's a demon state for me. Like somebody who's NF savior, like would they like always struggle with that forever, or would they be able to get out of it easier?
NF savior as in like your kind of NF, like NF sleep savior, or a different kind of NF?
Yeah, like somebody who's NF sleep savior.
um
Like, can
Geez.
they ever break that habit of like predicting bad things in the future and accusing people of things they aren't doing? Like, or does
Well,
because I feel like it was a habit that I could break. Like I saw it, I broke the habit, and now I rarely. It's not even like an issue for me anymore.
yeah.
But it took time, and I could do it. But like now it's not because I don't know. I guess because it's like it's not a savior state, so it's not like something I'm always unconsciously doing that I don't realize I'm doing.
I think if the tribe helps you, it works for sure. It definitely helps a lot. Like I had this conversation with my girlfriend before. I was like, why do you keep having this projection of what's gonna happen in the future? Like, and they're all negative too. Like
Yeah.
there's multiple things that could happen in the future, like multiple possibilities. So why did you lock into that one particular one? I think the good thing about me and my girlfriend is that we have very good communication. So, like if she's doing something that like I think is kind of crazy, I just like bring it up, or like vice versa. If I'm doing something crazy, she'll like, just bring it up to me. Um, so she's like, "Oh, I'm not built that way." I'm like, "Okay," I'm like, and then I have like compassion and empathy for her, right? I'm like, "Okay, um, let me draw a diagram for you." So I have like, so I because I know my girlfriend's like,
Diagram.
she's tester and visual, right? So sometimes I say something to her and she doesn't know what's happening because she like she doesn't know like the what they call it, like the sensory of it. So I have to
Hmm.
draw like I have to like have a flip chart, and I have to draw like diagrams. And in the moment she sees it, she can understand it. And like I interviewed another girl that also had like she was also tester visual or like something like that, and she's like, yeah, I think her husband also had to do a flip chart because like because like that's how she learns, right? Because she's like visual, right? She's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so I think it's important to know your like partner's like communication style, then that way you can like be better at like
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then so that's kind of like how I've been doing it with my girlfriend, and she's kind of like gotten out of that, like the moment she has like a diagram that I drawn for her, and I'll get her to draw like like what do you call it, like pictures too in the diagram just to make it more fun.
Hmm.
So it's like a positive memory, and then we'll put it up in the wall. Like after I draw the diagram, we'll put it in the wall, right? So and there's like a picture that because my girlfriend likes drawing like cartoons, so I'll get her to draw cartoons, right? So like she'll see the diagram of like our plan together, and then she'll see the cartoon, and then it'll bring up positive emotions. And then there's also the plan, which will like obviously be like, oh, this makes sense. I'm looking at it. I know what I'm working towards. So I think it's like yeah, I definitely just need to work in teams, in my opinion, to like keep that like masculine NI in check. And you can make it positive by putting like a fun spin to it. Like my girlfriend does cartoons, but it could be something different for you, right? So, something cute, just to change it to like some from negative to positive, right? Um, so, anyways, let's move on to your last animal, double masculine NT blast last. So this is like a crazy one because it's double masculine. So when it comes out, it's super aggressive, right? Um, it has its uses too because NT is correlated with problem solving, right? So I feel like it's kind of like Shan.
Hmm.
Like if you consciously tap into it, it's actually really good at helping other people solve their problem. But then if you
Yeah.
swing into a demon state, then you're gonna be like kicking someone in the face with that like super aggressive blast of yours. So can you share with me some experiences when you had a negative swing, and also some experiences when you were like, oh my god, I need to be using this more. This is so useful.
Oh, yeah. This is a rough one for me. I feel like in my own personal life, I think the blast blast is the most challenging thing to deal with. Like I I have all these ideas, I have all these like goals or plans, things I want to do, and it's so hard for me to like just take the steps to actually make it happen. Um, like, okay, I want to do this thing, so I'm over here, and I want to do this thing over here, and I can see what it's going to look like, what I want it to be like, but the in between, like the steps to take to get there, it's just gone. Like it's not there. I don't see the steps, so I'm like, oh, I'm over here, and I want to be over here, and I have no idea what actual steps I need to take. Like, what are the? I guess it's the problem solving of knowing like what I need to predict, what I need to anticipate, and what steps I need to take in order to reach the place that I want to go. So um, I just don't do a lot. Like I just sit around and I think, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then I don't actually like get off my butt and start taking the steps to make it happen. Like I've for 6 months I've wanted to repaint my kitchen cabinets, and I know what I want it to look like. I know what colors, like I know how I want to do it. I'm going to do it all myself. I just like I can't figure out like which steps to take to get there. And so then I just don't do anything, and I just like sit. And every day I'm like, these stupid cabinets, like I want to paint them, and I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So I get really stuck on that. However, I feel like if somebody comes to me with a problem, like I can tell them exactly what they need to do to solve their problem. Like all of my friends come to me, and I'm like the counselor friend because I'm the one that can like point out, hey, well, here's where your feelings are getting in the way of what you're trying to accomplish, and this is how you need to accomplish what you're trying to do. And I don't know why I can tell that to other people, but I can't tell it to myself.
Oh, it makes sense because it's blast, so it's outwards, right? Not inwards. So definitely for sure.
Apparently so.
Yeah. Um, you know what I found? I was doing an experiment a few days ago with animals and stuff. So I think it was on which day was it? Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Thursday. Was it Thursday? I forgot one of the days a few days ago. Anyway, so I'm sleep last, right? So I wanted to do the right thing and get enough sleep, like get 8 hours of sleep, right? So I was like, okay, it's a busy day. I have two jobs plus I have my YouTube channel. So I'm gonna squeeze them all in the same day for and get it done. So I at my day job I have a quota I have to hit, like number of phone calls I have to do. I'm a recruiter, so I have to call people. I'm like, okay, um, yeah. So I have to do my phone calls. Plus I have a YouTube channel, so I have to publish like videos for my YouTube channel, right? So I have to do that quota too. So I have my own quota for myself, right? Then afterwards I have to go to work. So I have to go to work after, So like my other jobs, I have two jobs, right? So I have to teach like a spin class, and I have to do personal training because like I work as a fitness person in the side in my side job. So I'm like, okay, you know what, Kendrick, you're gonna do the responsible thing, and after you do all that stuff, you're gonna go to get 8 hours sleep. So you're gonna go to bed and go to sleep. So I get in bed, like I look at the clock, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get exactly 8 hours. I lay there, I can't sleep, I cannot sleep. I tried my best, I couldn't sleep. I was wide awake. And so I look at my function. I'm like, so my function stack is play, or my animal stack, sorry, is play, blast, consume, sleep. I'm like, I did not do any consume today. That's why I can't
Mm.
sleep. So I was like wide awake for like 2 hours, so annoying. And then I ended up busting up my phone, and doing like 5 minutes of consume. And after 5 minutes of consume, I fell asleep. Right. So so annoying. And then and I was so tired the next day. But the point is, like, I literally had to follow play, blast,
Yeah.
consume before I can get to sleep. It's so annoying. So yesterday night I went to sleep like early again, but I know this BS was gonna happen. So I'm like, you know what? You're gonna bring out your phone, consume for 5 minutes. I did. I fell asleep. I'm like, okay. Um, so I think for you, like if you want to like paint your wall, whatever, you actually have to do all that BS, like the play, consume, sleep, and then you can.
Yeah.
So and you have to do it like as fast as possible. Like go through the motion, because like otherwise you're not gonna be able to paint your wall. It's so annoying. And also the thing that you mentioned about like being this providing the solution for your friends, and being good at that. So there's different dimensions to blast, right? So it seems like the problem solving for the tribe part you can do. Uh,
Hmm.
the hardest part is getting started. So that's like the void that you're missing, is getting started.
Yeah.
Um, the other part of blast is also like communicating what you've organized in your NI
Hmm.
concisely to the tribe, more like in a teaching manner. How are you in
Hmm.
doing that? Are you good at like organizing what you've learned your whole life, and kind of like communicating that to the tribe in a concise manner?
I don't feel like I am, but I get feedback from people a lot where they tell me that I'm really good at communicating. And I'm like, really? Because I don't feel like I'm communicating how I want to be communicating. But people tell me a lot that I'm really good at communicating things or like explaining things. Like, oh, I've heard that before, but the way you explained it made so much more sense. So I don't feel like I am, but people tell me I am. But again, that's an external thing. It's not. It's so much harder for me to communicate my own like internal world externally. And I one thing I noticed that I think um, this is where like my blast last comes up is when I get upset about something and I'll sit on it and I'll sit on it and I won't do anything until I can't not do anything anymore. And then it's like a train, like steamrolling ahead. And I'm like, I just like steamroll everybody because I've like kept it in too long and I haven't figured out how to communicate it in a way that I was comfortable communicating or whatever. And so then that's when those eruptions come up where I like lose my shit and I get angry. I'm like angry crying at somebody over something, and they're like, I didn't even know you were even remotely upset about this thing, and it just, but then it comes out and it's very forceful. So it's, I think like you're on to something with going in order with the animals, because I think if I didn't skip over a lot of like the sleep processing, then I would be able to maybe formulate a better plan for blasting when I need to, like communicating how I feel. But a lot of times I skip over the sleep because I just don't want to deal with it. But then that masculine blast like comes out full force, and um, I'll be like super angry at somebody and they had no idea that I was angry about something that I've been angry for 2 years about this, like.
Well, I've interviewed a lot of blast last people, so you're not the worst for sure. You're like pretty good actually for blast last. So um, and also what you just explained, it's so annoying because my girlfriend's blast last. So it's so annoying from like the receiving end of that blast last person that's
Yeah.
like holding it in for so long. I know something's wrong too. It's like when my girlfriend is upset, she starts acting weird, right? And she'll pretend everything's okay. I'm like, oh my God. And I know she's gonna tell me what the problem is at the most inconvenient time. And it's so annoying. It's like, can you just tell me now? Like, she's gonna tell me like I'm in the middle of something, like or like we're in public, it's like inappropriate to talk about this, and I'm like, so annoying. So I don't, but yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that, because like you definitely, it's just practice, right? So and then the other thing too I was thinking for you is like, if you do have to follow the order, I was thinking when you get to sleep before you blast, we talked about David Goggins earlier where he said, have a callous mind. So I think, like you being afraid to be vulnerable in front of other people because it's a sign of weakness, when really it's a sign of strength, because it shows you how brave you are. I think you should flip the script a little bit and like have a callous mind, but for blasting, you know. So like, earlier you said, oh, you go to the closet, you cry, and you come back out, right? And then you tell yourself, put on your big girl panties and let's get this done, right?
Yeah.
But like maybe you should do that for blast instead of like with people, because like,
Mm.
instead of like saying, so for blast it would be like, okay, I need to paint my wall, let's have my big girl panties, and I gotta do it. I don't want to do it. I might do a shitty job because it's my first time, final
Yes.
blasting, but hey, you gotta be brave, you gotta bite that pride, just gotta do it. Do a shitty job first, just do it, because otherwise you're weak. If you can't do it, you're weak. So it's like that's kind of like the flipping the script thing, right? Because I feel like for people it's okay to cry in front of other people. I think that's like just shows like humanity, right?
Mhm.
But like when it comes to blast, then you gotta be tough. You gotta do it because it's for you. You want to do this, and if you don't do it,
Yeah.
then you're not honoring yourself, right? Then you'll feel like garbage later on, and you'll have regrets, which is like a worse feeling, like than
Yes.
anything. So yeah, for sure. Uh,
That's really good, and I feel like the blast last with the number one is just like the worst combination of like anything you could ever have, because I'm putting off doing something that I want to do because one, maybe I don't have all the, like OI steps figured out how to get it done. But then also, if I don't have all of the OI steps figured out and I just jump in and do it anyways, and I just blast it out, I could totally screw it up. I could paint all my cabinets and they could look terrible and I could hate it. And then I'll have to go back and redo it all. And then that triggers the whole one crap of like, well, then I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to look stupid, like an idiot, like I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just like this loop that I get stuck in. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not doing this. And because I'm not doing this, I'm stupid. And then I'm like round and around and around, it's like the last and the one just creates this like perfect storm of like chaos that I can't ever escape from, you know?
Yeah, speaking of one, I wanted to ask you at the start of the interview. You're a one, but you're lead play and you're tribe above self. So what's going on with that like cognitive dissonance there? Where you have the need to interact with a tribe and you have the need to serve the tribe, but because you're a one, you have ego that you want to serve yourself and you want to tell the tribe to, screw off because you have friends last. So what's going on there? That's confusing as hell. Like,
Yes, it's very confusing. Trust me, it's so confusing. Um, okay, so they say that the social types are the most clear to you, like yourself. You can see your social type more clearly than you can see like your saviors and demons, right? Your
right.
animals. So I think because of that, that's why I thought I was DI for so long. Like, I thought I was an INFP, so that's FI first. And then I thought, no, I think I'm an OE, but I think I'm OE DI, so I'm probably like SC FI. So I still felt that strong sense of like self above tribe. And I get feedback from people a lot that I'm self above tribe. Um, and so like I was sure that I had DI. I was like, I have to have DI as a savior. But I think it's the one. And like this is something Dave explained to me in the audio when he sent my type back was, I'm DE, but because I'm one, I feel a lot of DI things. Like I relate to DI maybe more strongly than another DE because that one is like flex and it in a sense is like self above tribe. So I relate so much to self above tribe because I really don't care that much about like getting close to someone, like connecting. Like I'm not somebody that's like looking to connect with people. I like talking to people. I like basically, and this sounds really terrible, but I'm just gonna say how it is. Like I I use the tribe for my own benefit. So a lot of times that's how I feel self above tribe because I don't have like a lot of genuine care and concern and empathy for the tribe. I'm not looking for ways to like serve the tribe. I don't really serve anybody, honestly. Like I don't like that action of like serving other people. But I will if it helps me get something that I need. So it still is like a very like self-serving type of DE to have, if that makes sense. It's a really weird, conflicting feeling, but like at the end of the day, it's like self still goes above tribe. It's like I use the tribe to ping back and forth, to get information from, to network with, to learn from. But I'm not putting the tribe above myself in terms of I see myself as lower than the tribe. I see myself as higher than the tribe. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
No, no, it makes perfect sense. And I can relate to some of the stuff that you said. Um, so I want to ask you though, do you not have a lot of genuine friends, like real friends that you actually connect with and you feel like you guys are like friends and you feel concerned for them and whatnot? Is that something that you lack then? Like you have a lot of like friends, but they're not like
I have a lot of friends, and again, this is why I thought I was a four. I have a lot of friends. My husband, I made him listen to the socials video because I was like, I need you to tell me which one you think I am. He's like, I think you're friends. And I was like, okay, that's what I thought too. He's like, you're always talking to people all the time. You're constantly talking to people, whether it's on your phone or like you're out doing stuff, you're meeting people. Like I'm just very social in terms of interacting with people. So it would make sense that I would be a four, right? With friends. But like I don't care about the connection very much. I do, and like since I've been working, like I said, on being more vulnerable and trying to be more empathetic towards people, like it's something I'm intentionally working on. I find that I do have a desire and a need to connect with people, and I do have a close, small group of girlfriends, maybe 4 or 5 of them, that um, I feel that I can be vulnerable with, and they're a safe space for that. And there is kind of that sense of connection and camaraderie that we have together. But I have had to work into allowing myself to get there. So, I think it's because Friends is at the very bottom for one. It's like I've, it's I guess essentially a demon, right? So I've had to like work at that, and now I feel that I'm better at being a friend and having friends. But it's taken a lot of effort, and otherwise, yeah, like I've never been somebody that's like, I need to have a bestie. I need to like have my friend, and like we need to do things together. And like, I've just not been that person. And I'm not that way with my husband either. Like he gets frustrated sometimes that I'm not like, he wants to do everything together. I think he's a two, so it's like he wants like that team feeling of like we do everything together, and like we're next to each other all day working. And I'm just like, I just want to get my work done by myself and like be left alone. Like I don't have that like desire for like close connection.
So for your, you know, group of girlfriends that you said that you can feel more vulnerable with, do you feel a genuine concern for them? And then do you feel like you actually care about them? It's not about them like, giving a safe space to be vulnerable. It's, do you care about them? And if something happened to them, would you feel upset?
Yeah. Yeah, I care about them. I still don't think I go out of my way very much to like be mm, like like serving or supporting them. Like I'm not the person that's like, you know, if you like are having a bad day, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna bring you soup and I'm gonna sit with you and I'm gonna make you feel better. Like I'm not that kind of person. Like if you're having a bad day, call me and I'll help talk you through it. Like I'll be there for you in that way. But so I do care and I do want to help, but it's a different sort of way than somebody else might do it.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, I mean, I can relate to some of the stuff that you said because, like, ultimately, as a lead play, I'm also using the tribe to get what I want. Um, but I also generally care about a lot of people too. So it's like both. So it's not like just one or the other. So
So like how do you
I'm not a one for
experience
that.
care? Like is it a feeling or is it an action when you say that?
It's both. Like, I have friends, they're having a hard time, and I'll go out of my way to talk to them or meet with them. Only if it's urgent though. Like if it's really urgent. Like I
Yeah.
know it's like serious. Like one of my friend, his wife got killed in a car accident. So I
Yeah, that's
and
serious.
I, and I talked to him. He lives in Seattle. I live in Vancouver, Canada. So I can't see him in person, obviously. So we did a Zoom call and he was crying, and he's like an INTP nerd, and he's like crying his eyes out, and it was kind of
Mm.
funny. Not funny, but kind of funny. But, and yeah, so like I was there to console him, talk to him about stuff. So yeah, so I was there for him. Um, but just for that moment, because I know also at the same time, I'm like, he's also a shitty friend. Like he's one of my best friends, but he's also kind of shitty as a friend. So like, unless it's an urgent thing, I'm not gonna be there because he's never there also for me. So I mean, he will be if it's urgent. So that's kind of like where I see it, because I think if I'm seriously in trouble, he would help me out. So um, so that's kind of how I see it. And I have friends that are like I care about. And then there's people that it's a working relationship, or like a working acquaintances. Like I'm
Hmm.
there because you're getting something from me, and I'm getting something from you. So it's like a reciprocal like relationship. So I have both for sure. Like even people I interview, like I have people that I interview and I'm like, this person's nuts. Like I'm probably not going to be friends with them, after this call. I'm not going to say any names. People are probably curious now. So there's people that are nuts that I interview, no offense, but like, and there's people that are great. Like I actually talk to them outside of like the interview, and we're like friends now. Like I actually talk about
Yeah.
like, hey, let's go hang out. Like if we're in the same city or whatever, let's hang out. So they're both happens, right? So hence why I'm not a one like you, where like I do seek that connection. If I like you, I do seek a connection. I want to be friends and I want to be like a long-term thing. Um, but if I don't like you, you can fuck off. I
Hmm.
don't really care. Um, you know, uh, you have an opinion. great, tell it to someone else, so yeah, still double decider, at the end of the day. So
Yeah, yeah. And so like I'm comparing myself like to my husband who's like he's somebody that will stop on the side of the road like if there's somebody who has a flat tire or looks like they need help or something like he's going to stop like 100% of the time and he's going to help them and like take time and effort out of his day to help a complete stranger or give money to the homeless people on the corner like he does stuff like that all the time
is he a
and
four or something?
he genuinely cares and I'm just like I don't know why you do these things. I would not do that. Like,
Is he a
and he's
four?
all like,
Sounds like a four to
no,
me.
I don't know. I think he's a two. I feel like he's a two because he's also like very responsible, very much like a workaholic,
Okay.
very driven. Like he won't stop to have fun. Like he won't stop to do anything. He just works 24/7.
Right. Okay,
Unless
fair
he's
enough.
helping someone.
Fair enough. Okay. Um,
So like I don't have that kind of like genuine care and concern while like I would go out of my way to help somebody like that. And even like my good friends, like if someone died or they were going through a divorce or a breakup, like yeah, I would be there for them. But generally, I'm not somebody who wants like a close connection. So yeah.
well, one last comment before we wrap up the interview. I when I went to college, I took a psychology course, and they said that the deepest form of happiness is when you help another human being, and the worst kind of the happiness that is the most unsatisfying is when you have like instant gratification, right? So like if you eat ice cream, for example, or something like that, like it's gone after you eat the ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle is like work that you love, right? Like where you're in a flow state. So I think your husband is getting deep source of happiness helping people. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like genuinely helping people. So I
Mm-hmm.
think even though it's selfless, it's also selfish because he's doing it for himself ultimately because it makes him feel good. Um,
Yeah.
so, so I don't think it's I think it's a good thing to do that for your own happiness too. It always feels nice to know that you've made a difference in someone's life, right? Um, and then you'll have to do it in your way because you're one. So that's like
Yes.
who wants to like donate like a lot of money. Like as long as I don't spend time with you, I still want to help you or something, you know?
Yeah, and I don't make a lot of money, so I don't have that ability to help people in that way. But
Yeah.
which was confusing to think I was a one because I'm like not very career focused or driven at all. But I have figured out the way that I love to help people is making an impact. Like I need to feel that I'm making a substantial impact in their life, like helping them grow, helping them become better, helping them actually improve their quality of life and improve themselves as a person. So like that's why I want to start getting into coaching and kind of make that career shift because that's fulfilling to me. That's how I feel like I can actually help people. That's where I have a lot of care and concern for helping people is like in actually making impact and growth in their life versus, helping them with their flat tire or something.
Right, right. That makes sense. All right, Brittany, we'll wrap up the interview here. So thanks for coming out and sharing more about yourself and what's going on in your life. So it was cool to do a deep dive with you for that. And
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you around the Facebook groups.
All right, see you. Bye.
See ya.